You've got the power.
No, you have the power.
You take it. I don't want it.
No, I don't want this power anymore.
I
It's too
want.
much for one man to bear. Okay, welcome back. We we ended our conversation we were in the middle of a conversation last week and had to cut it short, and we are going to continue that now.
Right
So,
now
right,
on Two
two
Guys
guys
Talking Toys.
talking toys. That's a thing that we are. Uh, so so no pickups, no nothing. We're talking Masters of the Universe. We're gonna jump right back into it because we were so rudely interrupted by technology.
Right.
Let's see, where were we? We had gone through early He-Man. We were jumping into we had
We're
gone
talking
past New
about
Adventures.
2000 eggs.
Yes, so 2000. Oh, yes, towards the end of the line.
Yes.
When they're hitting the Snake Men, and there were walls and walls and walls and walls of Spin Blade He-Man, Smash Blade Skeletor, and they had a few other different kinds. There was I remember there being like weird like Stilt Walker uh He-Man and Skeletor variants that were also kind
Yeah.
of clogging shelves.
Yeah. It's like He-Man and Skeletor wanted to have a chicken fight,
Yeah, they
but
like
but they couldn't find anyone to team up with them. So
I'll make my own stilt, He-Man. Bring yours. Tell that jerk, tell that boob man at arms to make you some stilts. And then he did, and I'm sure he
and then
won.
he did. Right.
But they had some really cool variations in that line. Do you remember the samurai variants for
Yeah.
He-Man?
Yeah. I liked the
That was
samurai one. That
yeah.
was very cool.
I
I
think
mean,
one of
I
my
like samurai anything. You know what I mean? I've got my
mhm,
samurai jack with all the samurai family around him. Every
yeah.
figure I can find that's a samurai.
hmm
Um,
I I think one of the most innovative changes. I mean,
which,
it
by
was
the
it
way,
was
I'm
based.
waiting for Budo, GI Joe classified Budo.
Oh, they better make him.
Yeah,
I mean, they're doing oh, I can't remember his name. They're getting more into Ninja Force because they announced Jinx.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
she's coming. But I remember there being one of my favorite variations in that line was based on an episode where they had to go off into like the tundra, and I don't remember the reasoning for it. But He-Man had a cool new outfit that had like ice spikes on it and fuzzy boots, and they made that into a toy, and it was really cool. And if I'm remembering correctly, once again, if there's the information I'm putting out there, listeners and viewers and watchers, let me know. Our socials are Two Guys Talking Toys on Twitter, the number two, no G after the talking. If you'd like to write us a Gmail screen about how terribly wrong I am, or applaud me for how correct I'm about to be, send it to Two Guys Talking Toys on Gmail. That's the number two, no G after the talking. Also, if you're going to enjoy this next tidbit of possibly correct information,
right or
like
wrong,
right or
enjoy it.
wrong, enjoy it, like and subscribe to the video, and here we go. So, if I'm remembering correctly, the the fuzzy boot tundra snow version of
Mhm.
He-Man was actually
Did he
kind of
wear
used.
apple bottom jeans with
He
those
did
boots with the fur?
no, he only had boots with the fur. He possibly killed an innocent Sasquatch to get him.
Okay,
Because he is the most powerful man in the universe, and you don't have to answer for the things you do when you're the most powerful man in the universe.
that's true.
Uh,
That's true.
so if I'm remembering correctly, I think that the initial idea for the classics line was them taking that He-Man Tundra, because he also had like the kind of fuzzy pauldrons, and it had a cape, and it was a
Yeah,
really
it looked cool.
cool
Mhm.
thing. But they took that and they were like, what if we modified this into King Grayskull from the flashback episode? And they put that out because one of the first
Ah,
classics,
brilliant.
yeah, one of the first classics that was, or what became classics, was something that was put on display. I want to say at PowerCon, and it was a bronze version of the statue of Grayskull from that episode, and it was that version of He-Man that had been kind of customized to look like him. And then people saw it, lost their minds, rightfully so, because it looked great. And they took that and they were like, well, maybe we should. And this was kind of, I think this may have been after the 2000X series kind of dried up and went away, and they weren't quite sure how to continue it. Because do you remember the Stactions?
No.
Or as no, okay, so the original toy line, once they hit kind of it kind of shriveled up and died after we got like that last battle with the Snake Men.
Bit of plastic they poured into a mold and called it a day.
Yeah, so after Rise of the Snake Men was over, and they kind of called it quits. The Four Horsemen in a bunch of interviews talked about how they were such big fans of He-Man. I think they had already kind of started sculpting most of the characters before Mattel had even approached them, just because they liked them.
Right. So we saw a bunch of those when we were at Legion Con. We saw the cool Stinkor and Merman. There were a bunch of cool ones.
Those are really awesome. And they said once they got the green light to start working on the action figures, they did kind of everybody, including characters that just hadn't shown up in the show yet, because they were so excited about it. They're like, we're just going to do everyone. Right. So once the show died, they still had all these figures that had been sculpted and kind of marked for articulation. They had done what they had them all sitting around. And I think the thought was, if we can't get them out in the regular toy line, then maybe we can release them as statues. And because they hadn't been tooled for articulation yet, so they were all still, you could tell where it would go, the way that they had defined them and the way that the limbs looked like they were attached. But when they were released by, I want to say Palisades? I think, I could be mistaken, but I forgot who released them. They released these and you could find them in like specialty shops. So they weren't hitting KBs they weren't hitting KBs or Toys R Us when they were still around, but they were hitting like FYE, Suncoast, and you could find them there. And I remember I think one of the first ones that came out was it Clawful? I don't remember if it was Clawful or if it was
but I remember that cool Clawful big statue. But
there's a huge version of him. I could be mistaken, but I definitely remember there was a Stinkor that was released. There was a Tongue Lasher that was released. There was
yes, I do remember that. Yeah, it was awesome.
He was massive. He was huge. He looked just like the cartoon. There was a Hordak that was released. I did a lot. I did a lot of customizing in this period of time because it was such in flux, and I was such a big fan of the show. And if I couldn't get certain Snake Men characters, or if I couldn't get someone I saw on the show, I just had to try and make them myself. But once the Stactions showed up, people started buying them, and it was this kind of ongoing thing with the community where people would purchase the Stactions, get them home, and say, "Guys, you can actually pop this arm out." And it looks like it's meant to be articulated. It was almost like a cool nod and a wink to the fandom, where the Four Horsemen knew we wanted action figures. They knew they couldn't give that to us. So the next best thing was giving us the Stactions and saying, hey, if you're so inclined, and if you have the wherewithal to do it, you can make these action figures. So people had figured out that you could pop the arms out of some of them, drill a hole in it, and then add an earth magnet, because magnets, how do they work? You could, and then stick it back together, and you would have some limited articulation on these figures that they just couldn't,
cool.
They weren't allowed to do. I think Snout Spout. I think they did Snout Spout as well as a Staction.
I love Snout Spout.
I was not a fan of the original figure, but I loved that Staction. I actually couldn't find him. I remember seeing him advertised on the back, but I couldn't find him.
I think I mentioned a bazillion years ago on an earlier episode that I liked Snout Spout because he reminded me of the elephant on the Great Space Coaster.
Do you have the Origins version of him?
I do not. No, I have the original one. I don't have the Origins.
I don't have the Origins one, and now I don't think I'm going to be getting him, because at San Diego Comic-Con they showed an updated version of the Masterverse version of him that looks amazing. It looks a lot like the Staction, and I am excited to get it.
You know what we haven't discussed yet? The ripple effect of He-Man in the toy world. Because after He-Man made it big, Remco jumped all over it.
Yes, there was a lot
of Conan figures and Warlord, and then there was those weird like what were they called? Like Galaxy Defenders or something. They
Yes.
were a little smaller in stature, but they then they retooled them again to make them wrestlers later
Yes.
on. Like there were some that still had half a metallic face, you know,
Mhm.
but they still retooled them again to be, or remarketed them anyway, to be
Mhm.
wrestlers. But once, you know, like Star Wars made it big on the 3 3/4 inch size, and
Mhm.
GI Joe bid on that, and that went there. But then when He Man came out, there was nothing like it. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that punch was a huge risk,
Mhm.
and paid dividends. There was nothing like it. And then there were those knockoff guys. But you know, when, like we discussed, when we played He Man, you know, outside of He Man, we played with them with Thundercats and
Yes.
Sectors, but
Mhm.
none of those figures kind of lined up.
Mhm.
Like after He Man said, "Well, we're just going to make our own size,"
Mhm.
and He Man's buff and he's big, and the bad guys are bad dudes, Beast
Mhm.
Man's snarling, and we're just going to do our thing.
Yeah.
Other lines were like, "Oh, well, who cares that Lion-O is 7 inches tall, right? We're just going to
Yeah.
go with it."
Yeah.
And then Sectars were like, who cares if we're 6.5 inches tall and
Mhm.
He-Man's 5.5 inches tall? And like, who cares? We're just going to go with it. And it kind of worked.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to see that. I mean, the lines that you're bringing up are almost kind of linchpins of their individual type. In that, Thundercats had their own lore, and they had the toy line that was a little bit larger. But then it was like each one of those inspired others to tailor their stuff to match that. So like, yeah, we got like the Remco figures, and
Yeah.
Yla Eason created Sunman based on the He-Man body type, like specifically.
Yep.
There's a great interview with her that I want to link to, where she said, I
Do it.
wanted it to look like this toy line because this is what my son enjoyed, and I wanted him to have something that he could also play with, but also with something like Sectars, when they were a specific size, and then there were other toy lines that popped up that kind of mimicked that scale. So yes, it was almost like they were all doing their own thing, but they were also inspiring other toy companies for good or for bad, because
Right.
there
Right.
were there were there's innovation, and then there's just imitation to see if you can get in on some of that sweet money. But
Right.
uh, it's interesting to see what they've been, what
Make that
they
folding
inspire.
money.
Yeah, make that Sector cash, man. Uh, but, but yeah, but you're right. It was kind of cool to see, and especially in the '80s, when kind of anything went. It was like the Wild West of toy making, because it
Yeah, it
was
really was.
put it out there. See, now it's much more measured. Now it's much more what worked before, and we'll do that.
Right.
Back then, it seemed like, what can we do that will work, and then they would put that out and see if it
Even
works.
even like Thundercats had their thing, right, and then the Silverhawks came out, and then they
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Yeah, we're gonna make them at a 4 inch scale, and we're gonna
Yeah.
do this." And like, you never knew what was gonna come up.
So so speaking of well, you mentioned, like, the way that people play and everything is crossed over with everything else.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see now, or over the last few years, or you know what? We'll take it back even further. When He-Man first kind of popped up and the popularity had soared, do you remember the He-Man Superman crossover?
Yes,
I remember that being a big deal. And
it
I
was.
actually, even now, I love the story behind it, of Skeletor getting control of Superman, He-Man being a magical being,
Yep.
being able to hurt Superman, which was really cool.
Right.
That's been revisited.
Much cooler than him boxing Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, I feel like Superman wouldn't stand a chance. but
I
but
always
that,
want to take that picture of Muhammad Ali, like
mhm,
standing over the guy who's laying on the floor.
mhm.
And the real story behind it looks like he's intimidating, but he's telling them to get up. If you know the story behind the
Yeah.
picture, the guy took a fall and he's like, "Get up! I want to,
Mhm,
stop! Don't take the fall. I want to beat you."
mhm.
Um, but I want to take that guy out and put Superman down on
I
the.
I'm positive somebody already
Oh, I'm
has.
sure somebody has, but I want to have it. That's what I should say. Because I don't have the know-how to actually do it. I want to.
I'll see if I can find that poster for you, because I'm sure I've seen it. I'm sure that I've seen it around.
Oh, I'm sure. But anyway, back to He-Man.
But so the idea of crossing He-Man over with other characters, and with Princess of Power, they even established their own kind of like small crossover, because he kind of helped launch that both in the cartoon and in the toy line. But
right.
do you remember the Masters of the Universe cross DC 2-packs that came out in Toys R Us in like the early 2000s, where it was like Stratos and Hawkman and
they were cool.
Superman and He-Man, and I always thought that was really cool. So I would love to see more of that. And there actually have been comics where there was another DC crossover where it was He-Man crossing over with DC superheroes, and that was really cool. But there's also a He-Man or a Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover, which is also really cool. And I would love to see toys created from these crossovers. It's one of the first. I don't know if it was the first time that we ever saw this idea, but I think it was the first time we've ever seen it in canon. Of at some point in the comic, Battle Cat gets superpowered and becomes an Anthro warrior to help the Thundercats.
The Thundercats, yeah.
Give me that figure. And
that would be amazing. And Tom, you're the guy to customize that. Come on, make it happen.
You know what? I kind of don't have to, because.
Uh-oh.
Where are you?
He's off camera again. We could talk about him.
So, I'm back.
Damn it. I wasn't quick enough.
The Four Horsemen.
There it is.
Because they are such huge fans of He-Man and the characters, they've been doing these He-Man homages for years now. And it's hitting the point where...
that's a great figure in your hand right there.
It's great. This and the one they did for Panther is also fantastic.
I hadn't forgotten about those, but yeah, they're amazing.
They're so
In fact,
good.
I remember at Legion Con, I wanted to buy them.
Yes, they're worth every penny. And they have now done enough homages where I almost feel like you could create almost like a full cast, not quite a full cast, but they're getting there. If you wanted to have like a Four Horsemen Mythic Legions style cast of characters based on He-Man, you'll be able to have a full cast soon, because they've done a lot.
I got to tell you, I'm excited because, and we've had this discussion that I've wanted to start doing photography with the action figures. And I think the time is nigh that I can start doing that. But I'm so excited to take figures that I wish would cross over. Like we just saw the Marvel Legends Crystar coming out. To have Crystar and He-Man together has been a dream of mine forever. And then throw in the background Goliath hanging over them with his wings open.
That would be really cool.
Right? So those are like lines you wish you could have had together when you were a kid, right? But He-Man and Crystar didn't match very well.
But I like this. I like that these are the kinds of crossovers that seem to be shaping up. We've been seeing Ninja Turtles crossover with everything. Like we already talked about the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover.
They'll give that license to anyone.
The Stranger Things cross Ninja Turtles crossover is what now granted, Ninja Turtles is one of those series where I love that other people have realized you can really cross that over with anything. And
because they're just so much fun.
Yeah, it's very strange, very weird, which leads to another crossover that I would love to have seen happen. There is an artist named Freddie Williams who did the original comic for the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover. I will link to him in the show notes because his work is astounding.
It really is.
He was working on what wound up being, unfortunately, a canceled project where it was going to be Ninja Turtles crossed over with Masters of the Universe, and the designs that would be
an interesting cosmic happening. Yeah.
So there's concept art out there of like Leonardo with his versions of the power swords wearing like almost like the Ice He-Man kind of armor. And I really wish that would happen, but apparently, and I don't know if it's going to be based on the Freddie Williams stuff, but Mattel, don't come after us, Mattel. We're not showing pictures, but there is going to be
And
a
we're gonna have
Masters of the
Target,
Universe.
Mattel,
Target's
Tony
gonna come after
Robbins.
us.
They're all coming after us.
They're working on a Masters Universe Ninja Turtles crossover.
Nice.
I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know what characters are supposed to be in it, but apparently there's prototype pictures floating out there. If you guys search, you can find it. I can't put them up here, or we're not monetized anyway. But I'd rather them not try and strike the actual video. But I love that is happening, and that's really cool. Like give me good Ninja Turtle crossovers. I want to see everything. I want to see them cross over with gargoyles, and we've already had Ninja Turtles with wings, so cross them over with everything.
That's true.
But yeah, give me more He-Man crossovers with other stuff, because there's so many other franchises out there that in toy form. Like, I would love to see toy versions of some of the more unique characters that popped up in that Thundercats crossover. One of the high points in it. Fast forward 30 seconds if you don't want spoilers. Go find the Thundercats He-Man crossovers. So right now, jump 30 seconds. Skeletor and Mumra fuse together and become like a new being, and it looks awesome.
Nice. That would be a powerful dude.
I want to.
I'd be afraid of that.
Oh, it's so great, and they argue with each other within his head. It's great.
I can relate.
Give me toys. So, all right. So we've gone over the original. We've gone through 2000X. Did you collect classics when those came out?
I didn't, and I'll tell you why. One, because I was so in love with the 2000X, and I already had them, and they were affordable. And then two, I was buying so many things. I was like, I don't need because they weren't cheap when they came out. They were worth it. I'll agree.
It was
but
tough.
They were expensive, and in order to keep up with everything I was collecting, I opted not to get those because I had just gotten the 2000X. I didn't. I know now they're much more affordable. And I want them.
Certain ones are, and I agree. It was tough because they were going with the subscription model because it was kind of one guy running a majority of it.
They're great. They're fantastic. I have a couple of them, but they're I don't have a large.
And I give them a lot of credit for getting that up and running and getting a lot of figures out there and a lot of characters out there. And it makes me sad to know that this gentleman now has been running around screaming that the line is dead, and he seems very bitter, and I'm not going to give him any more attention because it's really sad. But that line, like seeing all those figures, it was really cool to see that once they got through a lot of the main characters of the cast, that they then started to go back and fill in. Yeah, they would fill in the slots that the 2000X series left open, because we got the faceless one, who was a great looking character. He's really cool, and like all the little details on the actual figure itself, but also the accessories. That thing he's holding, like that's a fantastic figure. Yeah, the Ramstone, which was really cool, and I love that it was important to the story, and they included it in the figure. But I like that they went in and they did all those deep dives. I like that they gave the Four Horsemen an opportunity to make some of their own characters. Drago Man is one of my all-time favorite figures. And I really wish they would put him in Origins or Masterverse or something, because that figure is phenomenal.
I really do like those figures and wish I would have had the wherewithal to find a way to get them, because you know how much I love an action figure with heft. I mean, those things are constructed like a Fisher Price toy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
they are very well made.
They have that feel, like and well articulated, strong joints, fantastic sculpting, just great figures.
Yeah, I was sad to see that eventually come to an end. I think Super 7 picks it up towards the end, and they were still kind of new-ish. And I think the line, even though it was kind of like at the end and Super 7 was fairly new handling that license, I think the quality of the figures really suffered, because the only one that I picked up was, I do have a couple different ones. I picked up Fangor, who is awesome in design, The figure itself could use a little work. Plastic quality feels kind of waxy, so it's like I'm afraid to fully kind of break in those joints for fear of actually breaking the joints.
Right.
I got their Filmation version of Tongue Lasher, who is also very cool. He feels a little bit better, but very again, I kind of plastic quality is a little weird. The Filmation Clawful, who at the time I remember seeing him in the cartoon, and you could not convince me that he was not a Snake Man, because nothing about him looked. Yeah, Clawful in the original Filmation series. I think he only appeared in 1 or 2 episodes, maybe. But
yeah, he had that like that kind of voice. Yeah,
but he had like a lizard face, and I know that was like that was the disparity between the cartoon creators not knowing what the figures looked like initially, so they had different.
Yeah, he did look more reptilian.
But I always liked that. I liked that he was this weird reptile creature that had claws for hands. Why? But I wanted more of those. So
after that went, and before we get into Revelations, I do want to say that 40th anniversary He-Man figure, the 7-inch one, was great. Like, that's one of my favorite He-Man figures.
That one turned out really well.
I really did like it.
I like that they clearly listened to feedback, and I don't know if maybe this was something that they planned to do before they released it anyway, but I remember seeing the promotional pictures for it, and it looked like someone had driven past him and splashed him with ink, and wondering why does he look like. I know they're going for the kind of a light black wash to bring out the detailing. He just looks dirty. Please don't blame him.
But that's not what the finished product looked like.
Yeah, it actually looks much better. So I don't know if somebody just threw that up there and they were like, oh no, they're gonna get the wrong impression. But yeah, it's great. I do like the face sculpt is actually really good. The harness design, they did a really good job with that. I wonder if they're gonna do that with Skeletor at some point.
I wish they would. I really wish they would, because it was so well done. And I love that he's 7 inches, and, it's just a great figure. I would really love to have Skeletor on that scale.
I think the Barbarian release may have been their attempt to kind of fix that, because that secondary head is way better than that initial offering. The first one, like, you could see them kind of trying to work their way through Masterverse, just like they were trying to work their way through Origins. To bring up one more crossover, and I always thought it was kind of funny because these popped up before Origins, the WWE figures.
Yes. They were cool. I like those. I just thought they were fun. They were just fun.
Yeah, the initial wave of those figures is phenomenal. And one of my favorite, and I wish I could get my hands on it, but they go for so much money now because they were so great. I wanted to get the Manny faces that was based on the New Day, because it was Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods as Manny faces, so you could turn ahead and get each one of their faces, and it was so brilliant.
So good.
I loved it. And then what were the other ones? Undertaker, a Scareglow, who's behind me, was so good.
I know you were excited about that one, and I remember when I saw they did the wrestling ring, like, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I saw that in Walmart. I remember the first time I saw it, I called you and I was like, "Do you want this?" Because I knew you were excited about it.
If it didn't come with Triple H, who has always wanted to play He-Man or Conan, and it's just not going to happen, I probably would have gone for that ring. And I think that's why he will never be Conan or He-Man or any of those things.
I like your reaction to that. You're like, he was in Blade.
He sure was.
The dog he played with was better.
Man, what was the fascination with monster dogs? The Ang Lee Hulk had the stupid dogs that were monsters. The Blade 3 had the stupid monster dog. Stop it.
I mean, they all did.
I'm glad that stopped.
Resident Evil.
Because we all know the best monster dog.
Legend.
We all know the best monster dog is Cujo.
Right.
The original monster dog.
And he just had rabies.
Yeah, it was just something that happened. Now, man's best friend, great monster dog. Great monster dog.
What about Turner and Hooch?
Kind of a monster dog. Was Tom Hanks the real monster?
I think so.
Being a jerk to Hooch. But getting back to this, King Hiss Jake the Snake.
Fantastic. Anything with Jake the Snake is great.
So good. All right, so let's move into Masterverse, because we're
wait, before we do that, who did forgive me, I should be able to recall this, and I'm not. The company that did the 12-inch He-Man, it was like just
were they the ones that did like the large versions of the originals?
Yeah.
That may have been Super 7. Again, I could be mistaken, but I want to say them. Because I don't remember that many people having the MOTU license aside from Mattel and them. I don't think Mattel made those. But yeah,
I'll try and figure it out. But yeah, go. So let's go into Revelations.
Okay. So Revelations.
When I heard there was a new He-Man cartoon coming out, the first one since the 2000X, and that Kevin Smith was involved, and I know he's a fan. I was jazzed. I was excited about it.
Yeah. I think Revelations has its real hits and misses as it pertains to the toy line. I like the show just fine. I know there are people that were whining and complaining that it is Tila centric.
That's what I liked about it.
I will. Maybe perhaps the less I say about that, the better. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like there being a new spin on it, and I like that he came back in the in the second half anyway. But the toy line, I wish there was maybe a little bit better communication between what we were getting on screen versus what the toy line was, specifically for He-Man with raw power. Because there is a Savage He-Man that got released, and that
I wish he would, like, I don't know. He didn't look savage. He looked like like Kazar.
Yeah, which was the problem. And I don't know if that was because the toy makers just didn't know that he was supposed to be a gigantic beast, or they didn't have the capability to make it, or they only had a limited number of bucks that they could use.
I could have done without the Hulk He-Man in the cartoon, to be honest.
I liked it. I didn't like the way it was handled. I like the idea that it's the consciousness of the person who gets the power that is supposed to like guide what it's doing, and with Adam not in control,
it's just the power. Yeah, I didn't like that. It just slaughtered innocent animals, though.
Yeah, the random killing of the deer was
supposed to be the power of Eternia protecting Eternia. Why would Eternia kill its native species?
Yeah, if he had killed to protect, that would be different. But instead, he annihilates the village while he's fighting Skeletor. Right. Those people are dead. Yeah, those people are in Eternia have been murdered by He-Man for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. Mondo toys. Mondo.
Okay. Yeah. So let's sidebar to Mondo. Have you gotten any of their Masters Universe stuff?
No, because they're $1 bazillion, but I really want them.
That's why I just have lots and lots of pictures to stare at and enjoy. Yeah. They're
doing Skeletor too.
Skeletor looks amazing. I was this close to getting He-Man, the one that came.
I pre-ordered it and then canceled it
because that Thunder Punch, it coming with the Thunder Punch armor.
Yeah, fantastic.
It looks so good, but I just couldn't, because then She-Ra came out, and then Battle Cat came out. And his armor is it's astounding to look at.
And those 3 figures in Battle Cat will run you $1,000.
Yep. And it was like, do I want Battle Cat or do I want Eternia? What did you think of Eternia? The new version of Eternia that Mattel is doing, because they're madmen. They're brilliant madmen.
They're brilliant madmen. But we need to talk about Revelations before we sign off.
So let's see. Have you seen the newer figures that are coming out?
No.
There were a few more that were introduced at San Diego Comic-Con. There is you've seen Motherboard.
Yes, so which looks great. But the whole line is great. Like the sculpting. I mean, I don't like Hordak. He's the one figure I don't like. I don't like how they did Hordak. But everyone else, fantastic. I love that line.
I appreciate that they were going for Filmation Hordak, but now I would like to see more of a toy, like something that is more based on the toy. And I would like to see them start getting more into the 2000X designs. I don't know if they know that there's a demand for that, but there very much is. And I would love to see, because it still makes me sad, and it still kind of sticks in my craw that we never got a third season of the 2000 X line, because that was going to be the Horde.
Right, which would have been amazing. I love the 2000X Whiplash, and I can't wait for the revelations at Whiplash.
Yes, I got street dated on Whiplash.
I know. Join the club. It's always me. I'm so glad it was you this time.
You cursed me with your street date mojo, and I went back and they were all gone. So somebody managed to buy them. Don't get me
started talking about the ghost down here, Tom.
I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to die. No, thank you. It won't affect you. It'll kill me. But yeah, I got street dated on Whiplash. I went back a couple days later. They said the street date on him is June 30th. Oh, I'm sorry, July 30th.
All right, so that's Monday.
I went back and they were all gone. So if they
tomorrow,
they either put them all in the back, which I doubt, or they just sold them to someone that was more lucky.
No, they moved them back because I complained enough and got angry enough about street dating that I went back and took everything off the shelf and brought it to them. I was so convincing. I forget which one it was, that they saved one at customer service for me, because I was like, so I can't buy this right now. And they're like, no. I said, so no. You're not going to sell to anyone? And they said, no. And I said, I want to make sure. I went and pulled it all off the shelf and brought it to them.
Maybe that's what I should have done, because there are no more Whiplashes on the shelf. All right, so wrapping this up, because I don't know if people are gonna jump on a part 3 to this, even though I feel like we could talk up forever about this, and there's so many other things I want to talk about. I feel like
we could talk about forever about most things.
Your personal wish for any type of He-Man figure that you could have specially made for you. Go.
Oy, I would want Mondo and all of their awesomeness to give me for free, not for $250, to give me for free a Whiplash figure.
Oh, that would look amazing.
That would be fantastic.
Part of me hopes they do, but part of me hopes they do not start doing Snake Men. If Mondo does Snake Men, I'm just going to buy them.
Home team. That would hurt the home team.
I don't have any choice. I have to buy them. I'm going to cheat and not do a single figure. I would love to see. There was we are running low on time, so I'm going to
we got plenty of time. We've got 2.5 minutes.
So when the classic line was out, there was a figure that came out that paid homage to the original toy line when they had that create your own figure contest, and they were supposed to get Fearless Photog, and it just never happened because the line died. In the classics line, they made Fearless Photog, and then they did another like fan creation thing, and the winner was Castle Grayskull Man, and it's this weird looking figure that is Castle Grayskull come to life as a humanoid thing, and the 4 horsemen killed it. It is dark and creepy looking. I own it. Wow. It's so disturbing. But
in concept, was he supposed to be like big, like the castle actually coming to life, or was this sort of the spirit of?
Yeah, I think it was the spirit of, like, it needed, like, Castle Grayskull needed to defend itself, so it made this weird golem thing to go out there and scare the bejesus out of Skeletor. I want more of those. I want more. That would be
cool.
More concept characters.
They should do a Snake Mountain Man.
Yes, like that's exactly what I want. And fans have actually done artwork of like Fright Zone Man, but personally,
I don't mean Mountain Man like the beard and the flannel, but like
lives in the Eternia forest, just chops down all the trees. Huge enemy of Moss Man. He hates the guy.
Right.
But yeah, give me that. Give me Bashosaurus as a like an anthropomorphic, a hulking creature, land shark, all that. All right, we're down to less than a minute. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. Take care, everybody.
I like it.